It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that there was a fisherman well stricken in years, with a wife and 3 children, and withal was of poor condition. Now it was his custom to cast his net every day for times, and no more. On a day he went forth about Newton to the seashore, where he laid down his basket, and showed him plunging into the water, made a cast with his net, and waited till it settled to the bottom. Then he gathered the cords together and held away at it, but found it weighted. However much he drew it landward, he could not pull it up, so he carried the ends ashore and drove a stake into the ground and made the net fast to it. Then he stripped and dived into the water about the net, and left not off working hard until he had brought it up. He rejoiced thereat, gnawing his clothes, went to the net, when he found in it a dead jackass which had torn the meshes. Now when he saw it, he exclaimed in his grief, Majesty, and there's no might save in all of the glorious, the great. Then quoth he, this is a strange manner of daily bread. And he began reciting an extempore verse, I toil through the glooms of night in peril and in pain. The toiling stint for daily bread comes not by might and main. Seest thou not the fisher seek afloat upon his bread, while glimmer stars of night is set in tangled skein? Down he plungeth in despite the buffet of the wave, the while to sight the bellying net his eager glance is strain, till joying at the night's success a fish he bringeth home, whose gullet by the hook of fate was caught and cut in twain, when burst the fish of him a man who spent the hours of night reckless of cold and wet and bloom in ease and comfort fain. Lord to the Lord who gives to this to that denies his wish. And dooms one toil and catch the prey of the fishes. Then quoth he up unto it, I am sure of his beneficence, and shall so be continued. When thou art seized of evil fate, so that the noble soul's long suffering, 'tis the best, complain not to the creature, this be acclaimed. But from one most wrathful to the ruthlessest, the fisherman, when he had looked at the dead house, got it free of the toils and run out and spread his net. Then he plunged into the sea, saying, in Allah's name, and made a cast and pulled at it, but it grew heavy and settled down more firmly than the first time. Now he thought that there were fish in it, and he made it fast, and doffing his clothes went into the water and dived and haled until he drew it upon dry land. Then found he in it a large earthen pitcher, which was full of sand and mud, and seeing this, it was greatly troubled. So he prayed pardon of Allah, and throwing away the jar, wrung his net, and cleansed it, and returned to the sea the 3rd time to cast his net, and waited till it had sunk. Then he pulled at it, and found therein potter's broken glass. Then, raising his eyes heavenward, he said, O my God, verily thou wettest that thou cast not my net each day save for times. The 3rd is done, as yet the housefast could give me nothing. So this time, O my God, deign give me my daily bread. Then, having called on Allah's name again, through his net, waited it sinking and settling, whereupon he held it, but could not draw it in, for that it was entangled at the bottom. He cried out in his vexation, there is no majesty, and there is no might save in all, and he began reciting, Fee on this wretched world, and so I must be whelmed by grief and misery. But oh gladsome be man's lot when dawns the morn. He drains the cup of woe, he said, yet was I one of whom the world, when asked, and if his lot is happiest, would say it is he. Therefore he stripped, and diving down to the net, busied himself with it till it came to land. Then he opened the meshes and found therein a cucumber-shaped jovial cup, evidently full of something, whose mouth was made fast with a leaden cap stamped with his seal, ring about Lord Solomon, son of David, all except the twain. Seeing this, the fisherman rejoiced and said, if I sell it in the brass bazaar, it is worth 10 golden dinars. He shook him, finding it heavy, continued, would to heaven I knew what he's hearing, but I must will open it and look through its contents and store it in my bag and sell it in the brass market. And taking out a knife, he worked at the lid till he had loosened it from the jar, and he laid the cup on the ground and shook base to pour out whatever might be inside. He found nothing in it, whereat he marvelled with an exceeding marvel.
But presently there came forth from the jar a smoke, which died hidden ward into ever, wherein he again marvelled with mighty marvel, and which trailed along it, surface till presently, having reached its full height, the thick vapour condensed and became an effluge of bulk, whose crest touched the clouds while his feet were on the ground. His head was as a dumb, his hands like pitchforks, his legs long as masts, and his mouth big as a cave. His teeth were like large stones, his nostrils oars, his eyes 2 lamps, and his look was fierce and louring. And his laws were like this, let's us law. Now when the fisherman saw the ifrit, his side muscles quivered, his teeth chattered, his spittle dried up, and he became blind about what to do. Upon this the ifrit looked at him and cried, there is no God but the God, and Solomon is the prophet of God.
Never again will I don't tell you in the nation against thee, quote the fisherman, and now will give his spell, so Solomon is faithful. And Jinni said 10,000 years ago, and we are now in the last days of the world, those last days. And that is their time of the fault, and that is the case of them. Now when using spirit, hear the words of the fisherman, Christ Israel is no God but the God, who has stood here, a fisherman